Hello, welcome back to our show. I'm here with Demetrius and Mike, who will be sitting there quietly today. Gio, your time is now.
Oh boy, what are we talking about?
Well, Gio, we're talking about the disabled list, now the injured list. A lot of names went down. One name in particular was thought to be going down, but didn't. Walk me through your thoughts on the plethora of injured players to start off the season.
Well, before I go into my actual thoughts on it, I'm just going to list off some big names that have it the IL, or like you said, almost did. I'll start with that one. Luis Castillo avoids big-time concerns with arm soreness, which was the original diagnosis, but that seems to be gone. But the others I'm going to mention have had no luck. George Springer had the oblique injury a couple weeks ago. There was Aaron Judge, who's been sitting out games recently with some sore knees or something. Tatis with his shoulder. Tim Anderson, Cody Bellinger, James Paxton now needs Tommy John surgery. And if I pull up the list of the full injuries here, there's too many to name, but you get the point. A lot of players are getting injured this year, and I think there is a reason why it's happening. They went from a 60-game season that was halted by union negotiations last year and the COVID outbreak to now they have to play a full 162. Doesn't matter how much of a professional athlete you are, how many days in the year you train, you're not going to be in baseball shape until you actually play a full baseball game. Even the spring training stuff, I don't count that because a lot of those pitchers show great promise in spring training and get lit up in the first start. Looking at you, Domingo Germán, I think partially it's because of that factor, that a lot of these players' bodies are not used to that type of workload after playing a shortened season. It's why a lot of staffs are doing the six-man rotation to start the year off, because they're concerned about the pitchers going from that short of a season to a full length, going up to possibly 200 innings of pitching after only pitching for 40 innings in the year prior. So it's a lot of mixture of players' bodies not responding well and just freak accidents. Like the Fernando Tatis one, that's a complete freak accident. He swung the bat aggressively, popped the shoulder a bit. That happens. So.
I'm sorry, that happens. He just happened to swing the bat so hard his arm came out of the socket. That does not happen. I'm so I don't know who you know in life, but I don't know people who just go randomly around when they're playing baseball and swing a bat so hard it just casually slips their arm out of their socket. Who do you talk to?
I meant it as if like the way Tatis swings, he's always been aggressive. So, but. You know, it's a mixture of those freak injuries that just all of a sudden occur. I don't mean it like, oh, yeah, Judge is going to swing the bat, and all of a sudden, oh, you got to pop this back in.
I know. It's just really funny the way you said it. Like, just one of those things. In what world is it just one of those things?
Say the ends in Y, man. What do I know?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that Mills has never been able to swing anything that hard in his life. I do want to ask you, though, before I get to my particular thoughts on it, do you have a particular thought on which one of these injuries is the worst and or most impactful? Like, we all know Tommy John surgery is probably the worst.
I was going to say the Paxton one might be the most obvious for the worst type of injury, especially with a one-year deal going back to Seattle to try and get another big-time contract and prove he's not an injury fluke. I think the most impactful one is going to be the Tatis one. Elite talent. We know he's a great player. He's great for the game of baseball, and Padres paid him as such. The diagnosis is a partial dislocation of the shoulder, partial tear of the labrum. You got to keep in mind he's a shortstop. So it doesn't matter if he recovers fully. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's his throwing arm, his throwing shoulder. So if he's going to make a ground ball play, try and make a Derek Jeter-like across the throw on the diamond, he's not going to immediately think about the shoulder injury he just had. He's going to think, I'm going to get this base runner out of first. So if he throws the ball too hard, a lot of the time it's going to re-injure itself, especially with the way he swings. I'm afraid that if this continues to happen, or if his shoulder gets re-injured and his swing is still the same, this might not just be a this season type of injury. This might be a long-term thing for the Padres. And they paid him handsomely for the next 14 seasons, which I think, in my opinion, was already a concern. They were paying a man this much money 90 games into his career. and now you got this type of unfortunate injury. If they don't have him back 100% for this season, it's going to be very tough for them to try and compete.
I do disagree that he is the most impactful. I think only because of the fact that not just the expectations that Mike has constantly harped on, but just the fact that they need some kind of normalcy. They need some kind of consistency, at least from this guy. Like Aaron Judge needs to be healthy. Like he can't constantly be getting injured. He's not going to get paid at all. Like Tatis, it's a bad injury. It's going to hurt the Padres. But as Mike said, he has not gotten paid yet. He can't be getting injured like this. He's gotta be able to cash in, because right now all he's got is second place in MVP voting from 4 years ago. You can't be living on something you did 4 years ago and hope to God it carries you. Chris Davis, God bless him, got paid because of what he did the previous year. At least the Orioles paid him because of what he did that year. If the Yankees pay Judge for what he did 4 years ago, and he continues like this, that's going to be an even worse deal than what Chris Davis ended up getting.
The Aaron Judge predicament is very interesting because he didn't play because they don't want him running a full 3-game series on turf. The Rays are your division rival. I don't care. You got to play a full series if you're healthy. And the fact that they're concerned about his hip being sore, just generic soreness, for a guy that big, it's going to be tough to really sustain a long, consistent career in baseball. And the same goes for Giancarlo Stanton. The problem with Judge is, like you mentioned, Adam, he had one great season his rookie year, and he's been steadily declining and missing more games since. But it's also in the factor of the media, the New York media has declared Judge like this generation's version of Derek Jeter. Problem is, the only part of Jeter he's got is, the cool, calm, collective personality. Production-wise, championship-wise, it's not there. So that's going to be really interesting to see what the Yankees do when they have to pay him. They have to pay Gary Sanchez eventually. And then you got Miguel Andujar possibly knocking up on the door of the starting lineup, but you might have to move him soon.
The best way I can put it is that everybody in New York was so depressed by the loss of Derek Jeter. And I don't mean to be crass in this comparison. I have a lot of pets. I've had a lot of pets in my life. So this is not like a thrown out there comparison. But it's like when you're a kid and your first dog dies. You miss the dog so much you want to go out and replace that dog and get an exact 2.0 version of the dog you just lost. New York media and the Yankees wanted so desperately to go out there and get a 2.0 version of Jeter. And they thought they did because he was tall, he was homegrown, and he had power. And he was an outfielder. He wasn't a shortstop, so they didn't have to worry about him taking the place of Jeter literally, just metaphorically. He has not. He didn't take his place in his rookie year because no one is Derek Jeter. It's kind of a stupid thing to say, but if you're not going to win a World Series in your rookie year, you're not Derek Jeter. And you only batted 280. Jeter did not bat 280 in his rookie year. He batted well over 300. You can't be looking to replace a talent like Jeter the year after he goes, and then you're somehow shocked that he's not Derek Jeter. You should know very well he's not Derek Jeter. He never will be. And that was a whole added bit of pressure for Aaron Judge that he did not deserve at all. And it is wrong. And it was wrong. And it continues to be wrong because people still look at him and be like, oh, we know you can be this guy. We know you can be the captain. We know you can lead us. We know you can do this. He can't. Stop giving him that pressure. Like, he's got to get healthy because he's got the power. He's got the skill. He's got a whole different set of issues he's got to worry about before you got to pile on your emotional baggage of, we need a new Jeter.
It's not even just Jeter. It's the whole entire emphasis of the core four, because this current generation of Yankee fans think that the core four is Judge, Severino, Torres, and Sanchez. And it's been, I'd say, 3 or 4 years since they've really come into their own and started playing full-time baseball. And they've done nothing of the sort. And that's a whole different story for another week about how, like, the media is trying to portray this Yankees team as a championship team, but they haven't done nothing at all except lose to Houston in the ALCS. But going back to the impactful stuff on the injury side perspective, I think it's a good point about Judge. I mainly say Tatis because it's not just this one time he had the shoulder injury. He had minor dislocations on his left shoulder during spring training as well. That Padres lineup, while decent, you're going to lose protection for Hosmer or Will Myers, whoever was in or before or after him in the lineup. Machado's average has been declining rapidly since he signed with San Diego. But the Tatis brings stability and a part of the lineup where a lot of pitchers have no choice but to pitch fastballs to guys like Jake Cronenworth like to Austin Nola, to Hosmer, who has also been declining since he signed with San Diego. They need to win soon with this lineup. You can't expect Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, and the rest of the staff to keep that up. It's going to be tough for them. And difference is the Yankees have been to the playoffs multiple times. The Padres, this is new to them.
I mean, it's not a bad thing to say Tatis is the most impactful. I mean, for God's sake, look what they paid the guy. That's enough to say it right there.
Mm-hmm.
The complete nonsense pressure that New York media and New York fans put on Judge with the fact that he just can't stay healthy. This guy just can't catch a break. Dude can't afford to get injured, and not just metaphorically can't afford it. He monetarily can't afford it at this point. That will do it for us today. Thank you, Gio, for being here. Appreciate it. We're going to be back tomorrow with our next edition of Cap or No Cap as we go over everybody's words and other things. We'll see you then.